want to thank all of you for coming. We're going to celebrate. That's all I needed to say right there. We're going to celebrate. Yeah, we really are. We're going to celebrate the kindness of God and a wonderful life. Too short, but an amazing life. And probably more than anything else, Deborah really had a heart of worship. And I think it's appropriate for us to take some time just to worship the Lord.
You're more real than the wind in my lungs, and you're more real than the ground I'm standing on. Your thoughts define me. You're inside me, and you're my reality. My reality. Sing on. And I belong to you. I belong to you. And you're more real than the wind in my lungs.
really the most important thing that could happen tonight is that every person here would know the reality of that song. Stuff happens that we can't control, stuff we don't understand. But knowing that God is good, and knowing that He cares for us, and knowing that He is trustworthy in mystery. He's trustworthy when stuff gets crazy. When stuff happens that we can't explain, it just completely disrupts everything that we think about life. Knowing that it's possible to say, it's well with my soul. And that's the passion of these families. That's the passion that Deborah had for this moment, is that every person would know that. There's this incredible verse, and it makes it so simple. It says, whoever calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Whoever calls upon. There's no religious hoops to jump through. It's just simply that heartfelt response that just says, Jesus, I need a Savior. I really do. I can't do this one on my own. And before we go any farther, I just thought, you know what? We can't have a song like that and just move on. It's critical that every person knows, not in theory, not a nice religious statement, but in our heart of hearts, in the middle of stuff that we hate, in the middle of stuff that we love, that we can boldly declare, it is well with my soul. Things are good. Things are good. In the middle of things I can't control or understand, you know what? The bottom line is, it's well with my soul. And it's well with my soul, not because I got my act together. It's well with my soul because of who has me in the palm of His hand, who has given Himself so completely for my well-being, for your well-being. The cool thing is that nobody has to earn it. In fact, truth is you can't. This one only comes as a gift. And so I want to pray for you, and then we're going to have Deborah's brother Paul Austin come up and read something, share something with us. But let me just pray for you for just a brief moment. Father, the big cry of the moment is that Jesus would be exalted, that every person here would know by personal experience that it's well with our souls. And so, Lord, I pray right now that you would do that, give that special gift where every person can trust you in the middle of mystery, in confusion and pain, as well as in the midst of celebration, because eternity's real, because you're real, because heaven is real. So I ask for that gift, for that grace to be given to every single person here, those who know you, those who don't, that every one of us, after tonight, would make a step deeper and closer in our devotion to you, and more rich in our confession that it's well with my soul. Amen. Amen. Beautiful.
Everything's different in the moment than when you imagined it before. And even when you're someone like Deborah who had time to think about it, I'm sure it was different in the moment. Feels a little different at the moment. In 1972, a beautiful baby girl named Deborah was born to John and Chris Austin. She came from a long line of influential businessmen and embodied the grace and beauty and love of an ever greater inheritance, the eternal kingdom. Like all little girls, she watched and followed her daddy's footsteps, whether it was milking Wilma the cow, or wanting to sit on his shoulders, or helping Mommy. It was obvious, even from then, that she was eager to learn, noting the important places in which the soul finds love, connection, and family. The eldest of eventually 7 children, she traveled with the family from Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, and immigrated to Canada, where she spent 2 years in Edmonton, Alberta. At the age of 6, the family moved to northern British Columbia, establishing a ranching community with several other families. Those pioneering years at Blueberry Farms were filled with fun, excitement, and extraordinary sacrifice, especially when it came to electricity or running water. It was here that Deborah learned many living skills, mastering the art of laundry on washboards, ironing with flat irons heated from a wood stove, canning, dehydrating food for winter use, and scrubbing dirty diapers in pails of water. Patience and hard work were some of the virtues. By age 12, she was leading a crew of ladies to cater dinners for 150 people, complete with homemade bread from wood-burning ovens. She made old and young on her team feel important. Her bright eyes and beaming smile broke down the most uncomfortable walls. Horseback riding, hiking, sewing, quilting, gardening, haying were just a few of her jobs and hobbies. But beyond her natural accomplishments, both in work and play, was her heart to love. The substance and her kindness toward us, her siblings, always brought her great admiration and respect. There was always time to listen, always a time to nurture, always a time to remind us of our value. Yet it didn't stop at us. For hundreds of people who came through the church to go to school and be part of the community, they too were captivated by her focus and attention given to anyone that wanted to share their voice with her. However, her childhood wasn't missing hurdles. Deborah was diagnosed with cancer at 16, a young age to face such a giant mountain. With faith, courage, and family, Deborah fought and won. In 1994, Deborah spent a year in Sapa, Alaska, where she made lifelong friends and practiced commercially growing flowers. But ever loyal, in 1995, she returned to help her mom with the birth of their last child, Jessica. Soon after her return from Alaska, Michael Kunz came to visit Blueberry Farms. They worked together in the gardens and went on adventures. Both loved the outdoors. They courted until their marriage on January 2nd, 1997, when she and Michael then moved to Cashers, North Carolina, where her grace and hospitality flourished for 13 years. It was here she pioneered her photography, helped start a floristry business, contributed to their family architectural business, helped found a Christian preschool, community playground, and played piano for the church, just to name a little. But her greatest accomplishment was mothering 3 beautiful children. In 2009, the Kunz family moved to Redding, California to join Bethel Church. 3 years later, in 2012, she was blessed with another son, Joshua, who brought great joy and life to their family. But in the fall of that year, Deborah was diagnosed with cancer for a second time. With courage and steadfast faith, she was determined to fight once more. During this time, her years of loving and giving came back to bless her. An unending stream of family and friends and countless acts of kindness these past months demonstrated the impact of her selfless love. Deborah demonstrated class and virtue, day in and day out. She was the most loving and selfless mom, friend and nurturer for whomever was lucky enough to be in her life. If you were new in town, she reached out and made you feel welcome. If you grew up with her, she loved spending time with you. If you were born from her womb, she moved heaven and earth to nurture you. If you were a stranger or a friend on the receiving end of her camera lens, she made you feel like $1 million. If you were married to her, she selflessly cared for you, putting your desires before her own. This is Deborah, the best human example we know of agape love, strength, perseverance, humility, dignity, beauty, and grace combined. Her legacy lives on in her 4 beautiful children, Christopher, Kristen, David, and Joshua. Thank you for coming to celebrate her life this evening.
Well, we were all invited to say a little something, but I think I just will. It was such an honor. I know my sisters and everybody were thanking me for being here these last weeks with her, and I have to say it was such a privilege to walk through this part of life with my sister. I do have a bit against her that she left me now to be the oldest, because that wasn't meant to be. But I was just honored to help care for her and be part of her family, and love you all so much. It is so amazing to look out and just see just the tangible evidence of what a great family that we're part of, and that, like that song, I'm so glad I'm part of the family of God in times like this. And it's just so clear in our minds. And I know we'll say more to thank my parents for all their selfless giving. And then, okay. And then, but I know we're going to hear a lot about what a saint Deborah was, because of course we all feel like she was, even while she was living. But I just have to say a couple little things, because she was very fun too. And of course we did everything together, all the memories that are flooding in from everybody. They're like, well, I always pictured Deborah and Rebecca together. And so we were inseparable. And, of course, as you get older and live in different countries, it makes it a little harder to be that close. But we were always on the phone and sharing each other's lives. And growing up, I probably do have to take maybe a little bit of credit for helping her maintain her pristine image of being the perfect, child, and gracious and loving, and never saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, or, imposing her views on other people, because even from a very young age, she was just endowed with such wisdom, like the wisdom of Solomon, in that when she did feel strongly about something, did think something needed to be said to somebody or done about a situation, ever in her grace and wisdom, she would come to me. Rebecca, you could say it so good, or you could get away with doing that, and then it would be fun for all of us. And me, she just made me feel like $1 million, right? Like who's not going to step up to that challenge and want to please their older sister? So I did. So she maintained. Yes, she was perfect. No, anyways, it was always, fairly harmless, but so those were usually our biggest battles after that, is me trying to help her see that she needed to step up a bit and speak into some situations, or, really lay down the law. And she didn't always see it my way. Anyways, I'm so honored. I was so blessed. Also, when she got sick, I wanted to bring her home to our church, and we can take care of you, and we do it. That's what we do, round the clock. But I knew that wasn't right or wouldn't work. And I have to say, I've been so blessed the last few weeks, as I've just seen, like we said in the eulogy, just the steady stream of family and friends, friends that are family now. And instantly, they just pick up the slack. They've got connections, and they're helping out, and the church helped out, and everybody just worked together so beautifully. I want to thank you so much. It's been an honor. And thank you all for what you meant to Deborah. Thank you. And did anybody else want to say anything? Are we okay? Okay. God bless you all. Thank you.
Is it Deborah's parents?
Hello, everybody. Well, this is what Deborah would have wanted. Out here in God's creation, the beauty all around her, that was just Deborah. She just loved beauty. Whoever she was with or wherever she was, she saw the beauty in everybody and everything. And I just want to say, Deborah, she was our firstborn, and her name means heroine prophetess, queen bee, and the beholder of beauty. That's what Deborah means. And we didn't name her until after she was born. We didn't name any of our kids till after they were born, and we prayed about it, and we looked at them, and we said, that's a Deborah, that's a Rebecca, that's a Paul, So God gave us the name for each one of our children, and that's what Deborah meant, and that's what she lived out. That was Deborah. And I just want to say the one thing about Deborah, Deborah glorified the Lord and pointed people to the Lord. It wasn't unto herself, but she loved the Lord, and she would point them to the Lord. And then the beautiful way that she displayed God's love, it was just so powerful. Because I'm not the best speaker in front of people, so the child heart, she had a childlike heart, selfless kindness. She loved unconditionally, and that irresistible smile of hers, just that little, you all remember her smile, and her bear hugs. When she gave you a hug, it was a bear hug. And even when she was under pressure, and she was gracious, It's like she could be under a lot, especially in the last when she was sick, but she was just so gracious. And she just made people, I don't care who they were, they could be the janitor up to whoever, the owner of a company or greatness or whatever, and she would just love them. And didn't matter. She loved and accepted everybody. And then she also, if there was a reason not to like somebody or not to, have aught against somebody or whatever, there was never any excuse, no excuse for someone not loving anybody. And she would let you know. She would not let you talk about them. She would not let you say any negative things. There wasn't any excuse for that. There was no reason to do that. That was my Deborah, our Deborah. He's saying, I'm the mom, so you all moms know what I...
No worries.
And I'll have to say that she was always loving and forgiving. And there was one thing I wanted to say. It hurt her very deeply for there to be any estrangement or any, you know how families are sometimes. I'm sorry, but maybe your family isn't like this, but there are things that happen, and there can be estrangements, and there can be all kinds of things. But I want you to know that Deborah, it hurt her a lot, and she always wanted to see reconciliation. That was what her desire was. That's what she wanted. And I'm just going to say that it was an honor and a privilege to be with Deborah for 3 months. I had 3 beautiful, wonderful months with my girl. And I haven't, they get married and they move off and we see each other every year and we talk all the time on the phone. But when you spend 3 months with your daughter and you stroke her hair and you rub her back and her feet and you curl up in the bed with her and you talk together, you're whispering back and forth and you're just talking about life and love and her dreams and just, it was just the most beautiful time, 3 whole months, day in and day out. I stayed with her in the hospital. I stayed with her in Tijuana. I was there all day and all night. And that was the most precious, beautiful gift that I could have ever had, was to have her with me for three whole months. And it was just like when she was a little girl. Just like when she was little, just taking care of her, because I had to do everything for her because she was not able to do anything towards the end, and so I had to do everything for her, and that was just the most precious time, and I'll never forget that. Hi, Dr. Miles. And you know what? I'm sad, but Deborah fought the good fight, and she also kept the faith. And I know when she left this earth physically in her spirit, I know she heard the Father say, well done. I heard him say, I know that. And now, Deborah, we're all here. We're rejoicing and we're just praising you and we're just celebrating you. And you're in the cloud of witnesses that is up here, and she's cheering us on, family. She is cheering us on. She's happy. Mm-hmm. That's what gives me such joy right now. This is the hardest thing I have ever been through in my life. But what gives me joy right now, she's free. She's free from everything. Everything. And she's happy. She is happy. Yes. And don't get me wrong. I'm going to be going through I've already been through all my. And the one last thing I want to say, she was just, there was she was just, someone saw a vision of her, and she was beautiful, her full beautiful self, dressed in beautiful white garments. And it seemed very clear that Jesus was saying that he loved her, he was so proud of her, and that he had things about her future to discuss with her. So Deborah is not just up there. He has things for her to do up there. And believe me, she's going to be doing them, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful. I know there's flowers everywhere. I know all the beauty that she enjoyed. I heard, from people that have come back that it's just absolutely magnified. We can't even fathom in our minds of what it's like. And the other thing is that Deborah left a legacy. And she lives on. She lives on in the children and everyone's life that she impacted. Everyone. So she lives on. And I want to thank you. I just want to thank all of you, everybody that was so a part of her life in any way, shape, or form. Deborah couldn't go anywhere without anybody falling in love with her. I witnessed that in the hospitals, and the nurses would come into her room. They would come and say, "Oh, can we come in your room? I just love it. It's just such a, just the presence that's in here. And I just want to be here in your room." And so they would come in, even when they weren't on her shift. And that's just the impact that Deborah had. Everywhere she went, everybody that she was with. And she loved God. And it says to love one another. And that's what she did. She loved God, and she loved everybody. So let's just keep on in what she started, and we're just going to continue on with what she's done. So thank you.
I want to just say that, this really makes you think you only have a limited amount of time to cherish the person that you love. And we have a lot of children that we love. And, I just want to say, God, I'm sorry that I got so busy trying to prove that I could do something that it interfered with my loving my children more. Now, I did a lot, but it wasn't enough. When something like this happens, you realize, oh my God, that was not enough. So I want to thank this whole family because you have taught me so many things. Some of you don't even realize it, but you've taught me how to love my own children better than I ever knew all by myself. And I'll give you one example. There's a man sitting right there behind Chris. His name is Daniel Beats, I believe. So he gave my wife a massage.
Don't tell that story.
And she loved it. Was helped.
4 years, so.
She was so helped by that massage. I decided, you know what? I'm going to learn to massage my wife's back. And so I have been trying, and sometimes it helps. I've been able to keep her away from, never mind. But the greatest thing is that Deborah was laying there in that bed for days. And I said, "Deborah, could I please, I don't know what I'm doing, but could I please massage your back?" And she said, "Oh, Dad, that feels so good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you." And I said, "Really? That really felt good? Seriously?" So she spurred me on. And I just want you all to know that I am standing, but no. I don't have a license yet, but I'm sure they won't. Like it was said, Deborah accomplished more than any of us really realized. She accomplished more in these last few months. She had many dreams, and a lot of dreams came true. Like Chris was saying, she wanted to see reconciliation in our family in different ways, and it just happened right before her very eyes. And she always wanted to have lots of people in her house. And Michael came running in one day and said, "Look, everybody, it's happening. It's happening. Look how full the house is." There must have been, for a sick person, we don't want to wear them out in this. And Rebecca said, "Phooey on that. This is better than TV. This is better than videos." And so we must have had, on a slow day, 15 people. Most days, 20 or 30 people would come through the house. Now, is that a slight exaggeration? Whatever. So there's some other really good thoughts I had. I don't know if I'll find them because I'm not using this piece of paper. I just want to say that all our children flew from Canada and the eastern seaboard a couple of times just to rotate and give a break to Chris and I. So we do have the greatest set of children that I know, because I don't know your children. So, but anyway. Yeah, all this has been said. Paul said some of it. Rebecca said some of it. Chris said most of it. Oh, I wanted to say this one thing. Michael is like a maestro of details. He coordinated so many things. He took such good care of Deborah and all of us simultaneously. Like, I'm sure you all don't have any idea, except people that have gone through it. There is so much involved in taking care of somebody 24 hours a day. And Michael coordinated this whole thing. And so I just want to say that Michael is amazing. And he showed his love over and over again through a lot of hard work. And then, of course, he pulled on all of you all. So we just thank every single one of you. What a beautiful family you are. Yeah. And it's such a privilege to be here, such a privilege to have you all having praise and worship for us. So thank you. And I want to encourage you all to come to the barn afterwards. Like, we grew up in a barn. You may not see that right now, but a barn is a very familiar place for us. And in Canada, we've been to lots of memorials at the First Nations, and they go all night. So we're going to have a mic up there, and people can share stories. Mm-hmm. And if you've got anything that you want to share, please feel free, and please share with us, because they are all like precious things. And I think it's going to be recorded, isn't it, Chris? Will it be recorded up there?
Yes.
Whatever. Okay.
Thank you.
So God bless you all, and thank you, Brother Bill, for helping us out here and your family.
Just to confirm, I do believe that massages are the will of God for my life. So I want you to know we're flowing together here. Michael's mom, Cheryl, would like to share a few words as well. So why don't you come?
If Deborah was here, she'd be saying thank you. During her first visit to our home, she spoke the words thank you so many times, I was just amazed. I had never met anyone so thankful. And when I was talking to her children about saying thank you, I reminded them of their mother. She was an amazing mother. She loved sewing and cooking, and together we picked out fabric for her wedding quilt. How fun. We had such a good time. Then she proceeded to cut the entire wedding ring quilt out to help the ladies back home who were piecing and finishing it. All precious memories to me. We talked about two ways. You could say mother-in-law. You can either say it mother-in-law, or you can say mother-in-law. But my heart was to be a Naomi for her. we always had a plan B. Time after time, we chose another recipe or schedule or another place. One day I returned home late after shopping to a family happily eating dinner. She looked at me and said, "Plan B." This was my cook day, but without complaint, she had done my job. I watched her walk bravely in to take chemo and then pay the price. Rarely did she miss a morning walking her children to school. Christopher, she loved to have you so willing to dress to her liking. She loved your boldness to learn and have new ventures. She loved your tender heart. Kristen, she loved your creativity. She loved your arranging and rearranging. She loved your caring. And David, she loved your cuddles and closeness. She loved to watch you play. She loved your energy for helping and living. And Josh, she loved your adventurous but tender heart. She loved to watch you learn and experience. She thanks you for showing up to share in her life journey. And Michael, she loved your faithfulness. She loved your willingness to learn life with her. She loved your strength with the children. May the Lord richly bless you and comfort you in the days ahead. And may your lives be fruitful. And then thank you for walking with my family. Thank you for any future plans. After a few weeks, I will leave here, and I'll be leaving a great part of my life. But I'm being comforted by your gifts and honor for one another, and especially for my children. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, man, I want to thank all of you for coming. And so many of you have played a huge part in our lives over the last 3 years. As I was thinking about what to write, I know last September we were here at a good friend's wedding, and she was having fun shooting some alternate pictures. There was a photographer. And when we were up in the reception area, when we first got here a little bit ago, I stood in the very spot, and we were at the reception, and she leaned over and she said, "Michael, for our 20th anniversary, I want to renew our vows here." So the good news is she's getting her wedding here. I just don't get to be the groom. Today we're living in the middle of a mystery. We focus so hard on Deborah's recovery. We really didn't leave any other option. I know a week before she got, or a few days before she got out of the hospital, she told me, like, "Michael, you need to get the Land Cruiser fixed up. We need to go off-roading. We need to do some camping." And I looked at her, okay? And she came home, and we were just too busy with taking care of her to do anything. And this last Monday morning, the kids and I spent a while with her praying for her healing. And at 9 o'clock, Chris and I told Deborah, I said, "Deborah, we're going out to the garage right now. We're going to go get the Land Cruiser repaired so we can go off-roading and go camping." And we did. We started working on it, and it was 9:47 when a friend came running out to get us and to say that she had just breathed her last breath. And I got a ride here tonight because my car is up on blocks in the garage. And Chris, that's what faith looks like. We didn't leave any alternate plan. There were so many times where she would come to me in tears asking, did I do the right thing and did I make the right choice? And I can stand here today and say yes. I mean, all of you are here because she made the right choices. She made the right decisions. She loved really, really, really well. And I've just been, as I've gone around town, there are some of you that I don't know. And it's been so much fun to be stopped in Trader Joe's or walking through Dick's, and someone will say, hey, you're Michael, right? And they'll start telling me a story about Deborah. And it's so humbling to hear how far her wings spread and how many friends she had. One thing a story I've told a couple people recently, I know a year or two ago I was at work and I got a frantic call from Deborah. And she said, Michael, come quick, I just rear-ended a lady, I'm behind Kohl's. And I said, I'll be there in a few minutes. So I raced over there and I got there and she was off to the side talking and I went over to make sure they were okay. I came back and the lady said, well, my husband's coming too. So we worked out the details and then we left. And as I was driving away in my rearview mirror, there was Mom. There was Deborah talking with this new friend that she had just smashed the rear of her car to smithereens. And that's what Deborah did. She completely filled her life with beauty. She had an internal clock for sunsets. Every night, whether she was cooking or whether she was doing anything, all of a sudden she'd just kind of, I'll be back. And she'd disappear. Often she would take Joshua, and sometimes we would get to go with her. And she'd go to different spots around our home where she loved seeing the sunsets. And she passed away Monday morning, and Wednesday night, I was standing by the sofa, and Josh was right there, and I had just got a text from a friend. He was going to come help me get the Land Cruiser fixed, and he was going to bring his son. And Josh looked up at me, and he said, Dad, I want to see the sun. And so I thought, okay, yeah. Joe's going to be here in a few minutes, and he's bringing Lincoln, Joshua. And he looked at me, he's like, no, Dad, I want to see the sun. And I said, the sun in the sky? Like, no, Dad, I want to see the sun go down. And when I got that, of course, tears flooding down my face. And I ran to the back porch and got his little red wagon, and his cousin jumped in with him, and my sister and I, we ran around and got up to the water tower, the closest sunset spot, and we got there just as the sun was peeking over the back of the mountain. And I still have Deborah. I don't have her body, but her children. And I've seen with the others too. I've seen things just in the last few days where I've seen Deborah and you guys. You've received an inheritance. This morning, I wrote something. I posted on Facebook, and as I was going through what to say, I just wanted to read that because I know it's evening, and the evening seemed to be a little better, but there's still a lot of pain, and I wanted to be able to share some of that pain, and I know I want to give my children permission to hurt and to cry and then to laugh and to rejoice. Last night, Chris played some amazing football, and they won 52-22, and so we have a lot of excitement, a lot of joy in our life, a lot of fun. And I woke up this morning and it felt like a bowling ball was resting on my chest. I tried to cry and the tears were gone. My eyes ached from all the crying. Will it get better? Will it get worse? It feels like there's a hole straight through my heart, and there is. When I first fell in love, it was so happy and carefree and full of possibility. Now it hurts. All the dreams we had talked about, and so many left undone. Where did the time go? Deborah, I love you. Deborah, I have no regrets. I had no idea what for better or for worse meant at the time, but it was worth every moment. Heart, it is okay to hurt, just like it was okay to feel the euphoria of first love. Face, it is okay to cry, just like it was okay to blush crimson as she walked down the aisle towards me almost 19 years ago. Michael, I give you permission to weep and weep. Kids, I give you permission to weep until you can't weep anymore. And then I give you permission to celebrate life. And you know, in her photography cards, it said to celebrate life and laugh and love. Deborah, I thank you for every moment of our life together. God, I thank you. I thank you for every moment, the easy and the hard. All brought us to today. I still hurt, but I have no regrets. Deborah Kunz, I love you.
Deborah is one of the few individuals I went to visit in the hospital and almost felt guilty when I left. I would go there to encourage her, and I would leave more encouraged than when I came. You know, I thought I was going to give something, and it really was that way. I mean, she really was that kind of a, she just carried that grace on her life and a real hope and expectation. And, you know, somebody said once, everybody wants to go to heaven, just nobody wants to die to get there. And it's kind of crazy how we look at these moments because it's so mixed. And the reality is God is attracted to broken things. He's attracted to brokenness, to weakness. He is drawn to mourning. It says, blessed are those who mourn, they shall be comforted. And these are the things, he doesn't cause them, but he is so attracted to them because he's so deeply committed to every single person here. He's so intensely committed to you becoming everything that he purposed for you to be. And it's better than any of us could ever dream of. And we're here because of loss, because of frustration, because of pain, because of all the stuff that you just can't put into words very well. But the bottom line is she's without pain. And she's tasting now what you're going to taste, what I'm going to taste. Every one of us are on a course where we will taste of eternal life. And Jesus has made that incredible provision. You know, as a pastor, I have the... It's kind of a crazy mixture. It's something you never would sign up for in your life, and yet you wouldn't miss it for anything in the world. It's being with people in their final breath, their final days. It's such an incredible honor to walk with people, you know, right in their final moments, and to pray with people, to love them, to serve them, to pray for healing, to pray for God to raise them up. And it's just what we do, and we won't stop now. In fact, I live with the recognition that Jesus healed everyone who came to him, and I'm not batting that kind of a batting percentage, you know, but we're pursuing the same thing, just simply to honor him. And the great thing about the Lord's devotion to you and to me is that every situation, he's not only capable of turning the effect of the situation, but he is devoted to turning loss into gain, pain into triumph. All of these things are reversible in their impact and effect. It's just simply because of his grace. It's just how good he is. And we have, my mystery file is just getting bigger every day. There's so many things I just do not understand. But I've tasted of his goodness so completely and so sufficiently that I can never question it again. I can never question it again. I know with absolute certainty that he is not the author of this, but he is. He does have the final say. And eternal life, well, a friend of mine puts it this way. He says, you can't threaten me with eternal life. You can't threaten me with death as though that were going to be a horrible thing, because every one of us enter into eternal life through those means. I've got 3 verses. I wanted to read them, and then I'm just going to wrap up my portion. The one in Thessalonians, Paul makes a statement. He says, we don't grieve as those who have no hope. Grieving is legal. In fact, it's necessary. If you ignore it, it'll rise up later. It's not healthy. It's not healthy to pretend all is well when it's not. When you're hurting, you're hurting. That's where you weep. That's where you mourn. It's important for me. I've seen in Scripture where people would do that, but then they took it to a place where they became hardened and resistant. I just don't ever want to do that. I've been in so many situations where it's really painful, but I only want it to make me more tender towards him. I only want to use the occasion to draw closer to him. Just gives me an opportunity to trust him with more that I don't understand. I won't accuse him. Instead, I'm going to celebrate his kindness in the things that I can't explain. And so we don't grieve as those who have no hope. We do grieve, but it is with hope. The crazy thing about that word is the word hope there is actually the joyful anticipation of good. And so we don't grieve as those who have no joyful anticipation of good. We actually do. That's the strange mixture of the moment, is that there's a point in eternity we look back to this moment and we'll realize how brief life was and how much it meant to prepare for that moment. The second verse I wanted to read to you is a real strange one. It's precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his godly ones. Precious is not a word I use a whole bunch unless I'm looking at an infant, at a baby. And somehow that speaks to me of how the Lord looks at death. It's precious. It's actually that tender of a thing to him to have one of his own come out of pain, out of the wonderful but also difficult environments that all of us live in. Glorious, beautiful, still conflict and problems. Out of all of that into our eternal reward. He says precious. And it's much like holding that brand new child as he looks at Deborah right now, celebrating the absolute eternal victory that Jesus made available for her and for you and for me. The last verse is one that I remember my dad sharing with me so many years ago. And it's this passage that says, teach us to number our days so that we can present to you a heart of wisdom. So here's this prayer. Teach me to number my days. In other words, teach me, God, help me to be aware that I am so finite, I'm so limited in time. Teach me to number my days so that I live wisely and I, at the end, can present to you a life that was lived for your honor. And that really is the passion of the Lord. I mean, it would be the passion of Deborah for all of us. There's no question. Anyone who knew her knows that that's reality. But more importantly, that's the passion of the Lord for you and for me. As it would number our days, it would realize, you know what? We've been graced with life, this incredible privilege to love people. You know, it's painful when people you love so much are gone. And so my question is, who's still in your life that's alive? I remember after one challenging moment where a child died, and I was with the child when they died. I just wanted to go find my kids. I just wanted to go hug them and hold them and not let them out of my sight for like 20 years, you know. I'll never forget that moment. And it's a horrible moment, but it's a priceless moment because that's reality right there. That's reality. And to hold that moment, you got people all around you. They're a God's gift to you. And I want to present a heart of wisdom to the Lord. It's not just that I manage my time well or my gifts well. That's a part of it. It's people. It's people. It's family. It's friends. It's community. It's the gift that God's given us in each other. And I just want to encourage you. I want to bless you. I want to challenge you. I want to do whatever I can do to just say, you know what? God's gifted you with amazing people all around you. And it's just time that we up it a notch on how well we celebrate and honor the gift of friends and family.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you all for making your way out here. It was an honor and a privilege to be able to plan this service for my sister with the help of many wonderful people. We could not have done it on our own, and everything came together in the last 5 days because of community and an amazing support group that my sister had cultivated around her. In a moment, we're just going to have a moment of silence. My siblings used to play this song with my sister all the time, and I feel like it's a good tribute to her and a good tribute to her life and a good tribute to God and just all around good. But first, I just wanted to let you all know that we have hors d'oeuvres and refreshments up at the barn, and we just wanted to have a time of celebration. Want to welcome you all to mingle and talk. I know there's people here that have come that haven't seen each other in years. You may not know each other, but I encourage you to share stories about Deborah and just get to know one another. She always loved a good party, so we're going to give it to her.
My name is Julie Welch, and I came here to pay my respects to Deborah Kunz, who I knew when she stayed with us in Lake Elsinore. My children are Eli, Zacchaeus Hillier, and Jessie Baruch Hillier. I'm so sorry to hear her passing, but her life and joy still resonates in my heart. I want to pay my respects to the entire family who my children and I have watched from a distance and always loved. And oh, by the way, I live 45 minutes away. Blessings to you all.
Hi, my name is Christina Wagoner, and I had such a privilege and honor to know your mom, Deborah. She was such an amazing woman, and it's really interesting because I met her when when I went to a Brazilian breakfast. Every Monday we would get together with a bunch of Brazilians, and your mom and I were the only Americans at the table. And so we just started talking and became friends, and we'd get together and go for walks and just have coffee time. But one of the things I wanted to let you know about your mom is she was so strong. And about a year and a half ago, I was really, really sick. And your mom was battling cancer. She had Josh with her. And she came and saw me when I was in the hospital. And even though, and I hadn't eaten in like 5 days, I hadn't had anything to drink in a couple of days, and I was just laying in the hospital room. And she was so upset with the way that I had been treated. And she immediately said, "This is not all right. Who's in charge?" And she literally went out into the hallway of the hospital and asked the nurses who was taking care of me. And then she said, "I want to talk to her head nurse." And so she got the head nurse in there, and she started just drilling her. Your mom was like a powerhouse. She became such a voice for me. When I couldn't speak, when I was so sick, I couldn't do anything, your mom stepped up and she was like, what are you doing about this? And what about this? And why hasn't she had food? And why hasn't she had anything to drink? So I just want you to know, your mom had such resilience about her. She had such fire and such passion. And, you know, it was that day I actually got to go home from the hospital. I think it's because they didn't ever want to have to deal with that ever again, because your mom just became so bold, like a lion, just rawr, you know, just like fighting for someone. And that's who your mom was. She was such a fighter. And your mom, I love her. I'll always love her. She was such an inspiration to me. She saw the beauty in everything. I'll never forget her taking pictures, and we were out in the weeds, and she's like, "This will be a great picture." And I'm like, "Deborah, they're weeds." And she says, "No, but I'm telling you, with you and your son, this is going to look amazing." So I just want you to know, your mom is beautiful from the inside out. And every time I came over to your house, your mom was always there. She had such a hospitable spirit about her. Coffee, food, whatever it was. And if I didn't want anything, it was almost like I made myself be hungry because your mom would not take no for an answer. Whether it was like, can I make you a piece of toast? You know, anything. So I was like, okay, you can make me a piece of toast. So that's who your mom was. She was powerful. She was amazing. And you are so blessed to have her.
I'm Christina Messenger, and Deborah and I were road dogs, I guess. We both moved here about the same time, and we met in worship, and I just grabbed her hand one worship service and just started telling her how much she was loved by Jesus and how much he wanted her closer, and she just wept and wept and wept and went so far into his presence, and that was a bond. Our hearts were knitted together from that moment on, and we spent many days together. She would call me on the phone and ask me, hey, you want to go get a latte, Christina? I only have half the money. Do you have the other half? When money was really tight. So we used to go get lattes together, and yeah, we'd soak together all the time and share our marriages and pray for one another, and yeah, we just. And these last few months, I just was there loving on her and massaging her, and I just got to really love on her, and I'm so grateful for that. Anyway, I love you so much, Deborah. You're a queen.
Overseeing the healing rooms, I got the great pleasure of visiting with Deborah every time that she came into the healing rooms. And she had such a grace about her and such a receptive attitude, always expecting and waiting upon that miracle. The last time that she came in, we just surrounded her with love. The dancers danced around her, and I asked if I could get the children's teams to come over and pray for her, and that got her so excited. We had all of our children's teams come and our children's dancers, and they came and they surrounded her, they blessed her, they covered her in beautiful cloths of many colors, and she just received. It was like she was in heaven receiving. So I just see the joy on her face and the beauty on her face every time she came to visit us, even though her situation was very desperate, yet she was just pulling on the love of God, and it was a radiant center to all of the activity that spun around her as people loved on her and poured out blessings upon her. So she was such a joy to be with.
Hi, I'm Terry. I'm a nurse at Mercy Hospital, and I got to meet Deborah at the hospital, and her husband Michael, and her mom and dad, and her sisters. And I have never been blessed so much or touched by her story. And you know, I will never forget how kind and loving she was, even when I would do a dressing change for her. And her husband, I'll never forget, when I was doing that dressing change, how he would be right beside her, and he laid his head right beside her and told her how much he loved her. And you know, the love that comes, that is like that, only comes from the Father. And I said a prayer for them about love, and I said, may your heart, and Deborah, your heart, and the Father's heart beat as one in perfect harmony. And you know, the presence of God just filled that room. And even as I speak now, like just the presence of Deborah, and like during the service, like the wind blowing and the leaves falling, it's like she's just saying, hey, I'm here, you guys. Good job. Well done. It was my honor and my privilege to be a part of her life at the very end. And
Deborah. She was taking pictures at a wedding shower for a friend of mine that Deborah had never even met. Deborah had never met this girl, and somehow she volunteered to take pictures at the shower. And I remember I met her, and for some reason she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. I don't know why. But I kept thinking about Deborah for like a month after meeting her, because I thought someone that wonderful should not be unmarried. She should have kids and a husband, and she would be such a great mom. And so then about a month later, I saw her at Trader Joe's, and she was with 2 kids. And I was like, surely that's not the same lady I met. But she came up to me and she's like, hi, remember me? And I'm Deborah. I'm like, yes, are these your kids? She's like, yes, these are 2 of my kids. And anyway, we got to talking, and I realized, oh, she's been married for all this time and has kids. And it just blessed my heart, because I could see just immediately from the time that I met her what a mom she is, and the heart of gold that she has, and I wanted her to be able to pass that down to the next generation, and I was so thankful that she did. And now looking at her kids today, I mean, wow, the job that she has done is truly admirable. So anyway, Deborah, I love you. I'm so glad I've gotten to know you, and you've left a legacy. I'm really happy.